Hey guys, so I have actually been asked by a lot more people than I thought to do a worldwide slash download celebration concept for the part 1 characters of this upcoming worldwide campaign. So this is a bit later than I normally do these videos. Normally these kinds of videos are done like weeks before the download celebration or the worldwide celebration begins. But for this one, we really didn't know what the theme was going to be until just a few days ago, slash like a weekish ago. And we still don't know who the definitive part 1 characters are going to be. So these are going to be my choices and basically just a concept. Like these are not predictions. Just don't be like, you know, oh, well, yeah, comparing what you made to the real releases, like you got everything wrong. Like that's not the point of the video. It's not possible to accurately predict like the passives of the new characters. I'm just putting out, you know, concepts of what I would like to see in the part 1 characters. And you guys might actually notice the thumbnail has Merge Zamasu on there. That's because initially I was thinking about doing like a rosé that fused into Merge Zamasu as part 1. But I think it's more likely, in my opinion, that what will happen is, so spoiler alert, part 1 characters that I have here are going to be a blue Goku and Vegeta who fuse into Vegito Blue, and then a Goku Black and Zamasu. And then for part 2, I'm thinking it'll most likely end up being a Sword of Hope Trunks and a Merge Zamasu. So that's what I'm thinking here, right? It's mostly going to be Dragon Ball Super, the Trunks arc, the future arc, right? So that's what we're doing for this worldwide celebration. I think last year's video had Facecam. I'm not going to use Facecam for this one just because I feel like it takes up too much of the screen. And the point of the video is so that you guys can see what's on the screen clearly without me having to like maneuver the size and like stuff around. So that's why I'm not doing Facecam this time. And before we jump in, just one thing I want to just quickly mention here. My goal with these concepts is not so much to make like a realistic character, although I did try and, you know, sort of take that into consideration. My goal with these concepts and the designs of the characters that I created here are to be as unique as possible so that each of these characters has a fundamental identity, right? That's unique from every other character that exists in the game up to this point. I'm not entirely sure if all these mechanics are even possible to program into the game with the current structure of the code and stuff like that, but this is at least the concepts that I thought about, and I actually am I'm pretty satisfied and content with what I've come up with here. I think it's pretty unique. I think the designs are pretty different than anything we have already. So let's go ahead and start here. The first character, of course, is going to be Blue Goku and Vegeta. This would be, I guess, their LR art. This is basically the beginning of the final fight between Goku and Vegeta and Zamasu and Goku Black. This is like the final time where they come to the future. This is actually right before Vegeta beats down Goku Black, this scene here. So this is re-emergence of the unmatchable being. Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Goku, and Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Vegeta. They are AGL. No particular reason, but we don't yet have an AGL Vegito Blue, so that's really the reason why I went with AGL here. And I guess AGL isn't the craziest typing right now either, right? I'm just thinking about last year's worldwide celebration, right? We had the part 2 Dokkan Fest LR, the Metal Cooler movie Goku and Vegeta, kind of underwhelming. We had Carnival Goku, who was AGL, but like other than that, I'm not really thinking of many AGL superclass characters recently that just jump off the screen, just in my mind. So I think AGL is decent for this. All right, so leader skill. We have Fuse Fighters, Final Trump Card, or Battle of Fate, 3 key, 170 across the board. And then I did Realm of Gods, or Battle of Wits, for the additional 30% buff. I really wanted to make sure that we did 3 categories as the main part of the leader skill, because at this point, I think it's just standard practice, right? I mean, why not just always have 3 categories in the leader skill? Typically, they reserve the 3 category leader skills for, I guess, units that more so need help, or for categories that are not as expansive, but we've gotten some crazy leader skills recently, like God Goku. We have like the Super Saiyan 4 GT Goku and Super Saiyan, or sorry, the GT Goku and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta from the anniversary. Like a lot of these characters have had ridiculous leader skills. Vegeta and Trunks still with a crazy leader skill, so I'm not really going to be too conservative with leader skill designs here. But if we take a look at the actual 200% here, here are the characters that would be included on, or I guess under that specific mixture of leader skills for the 200%. We have the 8th anniversary physical Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta from the Boost Saga. We have Orange Piccolo. We have LR Merge Zamasu. We have the LR Gods, Goku and Piccolo. I'm just pointing out the notable ones. I think there's a super mega high chance. Let me actually remove this. I don't know why this is there. We have a super high chance, I think, that this STR Vegito will EZA during the celebration. I think it's almost guaranteed, honestly. We have the 5th anniversary Blue Fusions both on here, who obviously just EZA'd as part of the 8th anniversary. We have LR God Goku is a good EZA. We have Dokkan Fest God Goku. We have STR Piccolo. Like, we have a lot of good units on here. We have Blue Cow Ken, Physical Beerus, who got its EZA and JP, Physical Piccolo, who just EZA'd really good. Gogeta 17. Like, we have a lot of really, really powerful characters under this 200% leader skill, and I think it would be pretty nice. And then even just not even under the 200% portion, like every Fuse Fighter, every Final Trump card character, and then every Battle of Fate character would be on here as the 170 leader skill. So I think it's pretty strong. I don't think it's like too weak or anything like that. So that is the leader skill. Now let's jump into the super attacks. So the 12 key is going to be cooperation between rivals. They always name, every time you have like a joined forces Vegeta and Goku character, they always name like the super attacks where both Goku and Vegeta are fighting with each other, or fighting, I guess, you know, alongside each other, as cooperation between rivals. So this is kind of like a meme name for the super attack, because they always name it the same thing. But this would be raises attacks, that's an infinite stack of attack, and then raises defense for 1 turn and causes colossal damage and lowers attack and defense. And then the animation, I pretty much just snipped images from like the scenes that I was envisioning this would be the super attacks for. So this would be starting out with Vegeta basically doing his onslaught against Rose. I don't think it would include like the pummeling, like when Vegeta basically int Dokkan Fest Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. I don't think it would include that. We definitely need a new Blue Vegeta from the future that would have like really, really top tier animations of that int Blue Vegeta, like basically pummeling Rose into the ground. Basically LF Green Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta from Legends, his LF animation. We don't have good animations of that right now. So I think I wouldn't include that part here because that could be a separate character altogether. But this super attack animation would start with Vegeta basically kicking the enemy through like a bunch of buildings, which is what he does to Rose here. And then it would end with Goku doing the like backhand attack that he does against Zamasu. It would be a combination though of Vegeta and Goku attacking together like that. I think that would be a cool super attack animation. Then we have the 18 key, which is going to be the boundary breaking onslaught. Greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn and causes mega colossal damage and greatly lowers attack. This is basically the part where Goku fires the Kamehameha against Zamasu and basically wins in a beam struggle by himself against Zamasu at his Divine Wrath, I think is what this is called. When Goku literally beats Zamasu in a beam struggle and then goes to attack him, and then I think he ends that attack with the Blue Kaioken kick to the head. So that is what I'm envisioning for this one. I was actually thinking of maybe making this even make them lose a bit of HP when you activate this, because Goku like literally uses everything he has to do this, but I didn't end up doing that there. All right, so the passive. So here we go. Azure Guardians activates the entrance animation upon entry once only. So there's no condition upon the to get the entrance animation. That's one of my bigger, I guess, pet peeves with Dokkan right now is a lot of these entrance animations have way too stringent conditions. And I'm just much bigger fans. I'm a much bigger fan of these entrance animations that don't have any condition on them, so that you always know for sure you're going to be getting them. I think it just makes it easier for people who aren't as familiar with each character, and you know, just not as much to remember with them having no condition for the entrance animation. So along with the entrance animation, guards all attacks and randomly changes key spheres of a certain type, AGL excluded, to rainbow key spheres for 3 turns from start of turn. So for the first 3 turns, they're going to be guarding, and they're going to be changing random key sphere to rainbow, except for AGL because they are AGL for 3 turns. So it's only for 3 turns. It's nothing too crazy. All right, so they get attack and defense, 150% start of turn. Then they gain 5 ki when collecting 5 or more ki spheres. So basically, you collect 4 ki spheres, you're not getting any sort of buff from that. But the second you collect 5 or more ki spheres, you're getting an additional 5 ki for doing that, which should really not be that tough because they're rainbow orb changing for the first 3 turns. So I wanted to make this a bit different than what we already have. Like I could have just been like, you know, gains 1 extra ki per ki sphere, which is what we typically see for like LRs, or gains like an extra ki per rainbow ki sphere or whatever. But I like this. It's a bit different than usual, and it shouldn't be that tough to get either. Then they get attack and defense plus 60% when performing a super attack when collecting 7 or more ki spheres. So if they get 7 or more ki spheres, they're going to get attack and defense plus 60%, but that activates upon super attack, so they're going to be getting a multiplicative buff there. Then they perform an additional super attack with 1 or more rainbow ki spheres obtained, and then they perform a critical hit with 2 or more rainbow ki spheres obtained. Now this is where things become a bit unique for this character. Foresees enemies' super attack for the rest of battle. So this basically this acts as, if you guys are familiar with extreme physical Android 14 and 15, basically have a similar mechanic to this, where as long as you activate their scouter, it lasts forever. It's permanent. So this will activate similarly to that. So foresees enemy super attack for the rest of the battle once 60 or more ki spheres have been collected during battle. So this is definitely an instance where I'm not sure if 60 is the correct number for this or not. Obviously, I don't have the luxury of being able to test if that's a good number or not, but I think, you know, I thought about it a little bit, and I think 60 probably seems good. How many ki spheres do you collect on average per turn, assuming you're running double of this character and you have double rainbow orb changing every single turn, or you have a rainbow orb changer every single turn with the 2 of this character in your team being the leaders? Probably you're picking up like at least 15 ki spheres per turn. So basically on like turn 5, you're going to have the scouter for the rest of the fight on average, unless you're getting pretty unlucky. And you could even have it earlier than that too, depending on how many ki spheres you get. So I don't think 60 is that bad of a condition. Honestly, you could even make it a little bit higher than this. But we'll see some extra stuff down there. So you guys will see, I guess you guys have seen already that I tried to basically make this pre-fused, you know, Super Saiyan Blue Goku and Vegeta character, mostly based around collecting ki spheres, which synergizes well with the entrance buff, which only lasts for 3 turns. But, you know, them rainbow orb changing basically allows them to basically just self-fulfill the rest of their passive pretty much. So it should be a pretty seamless character before they fuse. And then the active skill is going to be Special Fusion, of course. Can be activated once 45 or more ki spheres have been collected during battle, or starting from the 3rd turn if HP is 50% or less once only. Performs Potara Fusion. So a similar condition that I wanted to make for this is the one that I just talked about with the Scouter. Now, the reason why I made this a little bit easier to get is because I think just, you know, people want to fuse with this character. I don't want to make this like an AGL Super Saiyan 2 Gohan situation where, you know, people are summoning for Vegito when they summon for this character. They're not summoning for Goku and Vegeta. So I would rather people be able to access the fusion more easily, right? So that was the goal with this here. But I also wanted to give a choice, right? Let's say you have like 50 ki spheres collected. You can fuse, or you can forgo the fusion and then try and go for this first and then fuse after to have the permanent Scouter. So that's something I guess to keep in mind about that. And then if you get really unlucky and you just don't have 45 ki spheres by like the 4th or 5th turn or whatever, then if you have under 50% HP, you have a chance to fuse as well. So I just wanted to add that extra stipulation in there as well, in case you get really unlucky with the ki spheres, even though you should have rainbow orb changing. And then the links are going to be Super Saiyan, Saiyan Warrior Race, Warrior Gods, Godly Power, Prepare for Battle, Fierce Battle, and Legendary Power. All right, so let's move on to the man of the hour himself, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Vegito. This is the Omega finishing blow, which is basically the attack he does on Merge Zamasu. This is the final attack he does. I guess he doesn't even technically get to do the attack because he's about to, and then he defuses, right? But this is him charging up after he fires the final Kamehameha. So that's, you know, what the card art I envision will be for the fused version of Vegito Blue here. Alrighty, so the super attacks, we have the 12 key God Smasher, raises attack and defense for 1 turn and causes colossal damage, so just a 1 turn 30% raise. We actually, so I basically rewatched the fight between Vegito Blue and Merge Zamasu to think up of like what kind of animations could we see for this, and what kind of animations do we not have in the game that belong to Vegito right now. I don't think we have this in game, right? I don't believe there's any Vegito Blue currently that does this, which is basically like the, if you guys play Legends, it's blue, so it's Ultra Vegito Blue's blue card, or it's purple Vegito Blue's green card, where like he kicks Zamasu a bunch to the head and then like throws him on the ground and smashes him down. That's what this 12 key animation would look like. And then the 18 key is the final Spirit Slash, greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn and causes mega colossal damage. I just wanted to get this like clash with Zamasu in. So this is, again, Ultra Vegito Blue's green card counter versus a strike is what this would be. But it would obviously end with like the Spirit Sword is how I'm envisioning this. So basically he wins the clash and then he Spirit Sword and then ends with like a slash or something like that. So 18 key would be that animation. All right, so here's the passive. A Light in the Darkness. So he recovers 50% HP once only, so it's a one-time heal. A lot of fusion characters have a heal like that, so I figured that was pretty standard. Attack and defense plus 200%, start of turn. A lot of attack and defense, but I wanted to be like OP, so that's fine. Gain key plus 7 when collecting 3 or more key spheres. So that's basically the same mechanic that the pre-fusion version has, but it's better. So instead of gaining 5 key when you get 5 key spheres, this is 7 key when you get 3 key spheres, so should be pretty easy to get. Then he reduces damage received by 40% as the first attacker in a turn. Then he gets a high chance to evade enemy attacks as the second or third attacker in a turn, so 50% chance to dodge as the second or third attacker. Then he has a great chance of nullifying Ki Blast super attacks directed at this character. So 70% chance to nullify Ki Blast supers. Honestly, I was thinking about making it just 100%, but that would probably be just too good. And the animation for this animation would obviously, you guys could guess this, but when Zamasu throws the, I think it's like what the Divine Wrath at Vegito when he first turns blue and he just like blocks it. Again, it's Ultra Vegito Blue's green counter against a Ki Blast is what that animation would be. Then I made him a counter character. So I think a lot of people are probably thinking, are they going to make Vegito Blue a counter unit or are they not going to? Because the original physical Vegito Blue is a counter unit. And then both of the tech Vegito Blues are not. So I think it could go either way. It depends how they want to build him. I ended up making him a counter character. I feel like we haven't really gotten that many like big counter units recently. So I wanted to try my hand at making like a really strong counter character here. All right, so counters normal attacks with tremendous power, which is standard. Performs critical hits for the rest of the battle once this character has performed 4 or more counters during battle. So once you counter 4 attacks with this character, he's going to be guaranteed critting for the rest of the fight, which I thought it was just super important to add crits somewhere in this kit, just because for counter units, it's so important for them to crit, otherwise the counter damage is pretty much negligible at that point. Then he guards against all attacks once this character has performed 7 or more counters during battle. So again, this is an iteration of Vegito Blue that is very dependent upon countering, and he's gaining different mechanics depending on how many times he's countering. So 7 times to gain permanent guard for the rest of the battle. I basically modeled this a little bit after the STR exchange Goku and Gohan from the Cell Saga. That Gohan just gaining a bunch of different stats and guard and stuff every time guard is activated. Then he launches an additional super attack within the turn in which the character's active skill is activated or when Ki is 24. Which 24 Ki shouldn't be that tough to get because, again, he's getting 7 Ki when collecting 3 or more Ki spheres here. And then the additional super could be good because he's gaining an attack and defensive raise, which this attack raise... Oops, I didn't mean to do that. This attack raise from the super attack effect actually factors directly into the counter damage. This will increase that. And then if he's got the guaranteed crits, he's going to be doing a lot of damage with counters depending on how many times he's actually countering. So that's the passive for Vegito Blue. Then we have the active skill, which is going to be the Omega Finishing Blow. Basically, the way that I envision this is it's going to start with the final Kamehameha. I imagine most people are probably anticipating this as being the active skill. and I am as well. The fighter's final Kamehameha animation, where it basically goes from Vegeta to Goku to Vegito, it like flashes between them when he's charging the Kamehameha. Legends copied that, and I think Dokkan could do a really good job of adding that as well for this character. So it would start with that, and then it would end with like a unique Omega finishing blow animation that we kind of have already with the Tech one, the Tech LR Vegito Blue, but I feel like they can make it look better now. All right, so conditions can be activated once this character has performed 3 or more counters during battle, or when HP is 50% or less once only. So the way that I like to think about this condition here is I basically want you to be able to activate this the next turn, but I didn't want to just make it, activates on the next turn. I think doing 3 counters by the second turn of this character being on rotation is pretty easy to do. You just put him wherever the attacks are. And if you have fused at a good time with this pre-fuse, like the pre-fusion version of this character, you could have a scouter up, so you'll know where the super is, right? So that could be beneficial there. And then keep in mind that the active skill condition prior to the fusion, to activate the fusion, you can do it when you're under 50% HP. So you could technically fuse when you're under 50% HP, and then you could instantly pop the active skill technically, because this 50% or less. So if you can fuse and then instantly pop this if you wanted to. And then the effect is massively raises attack temporarily, causes ultimate damage. And then this is also something new that I wanted to try. Again, I'm not sure if they actually can do this technically with like the coding of the game, but disables enemies' next super attack action once within the turn. So we have a lot of different active skill abilities or mechanics that action break the enemy. We have, action break has been in the game since the 7th anniversary. That was when it was introduced. But we don't have a mechanic that action breaks specific abilities, right? So this could be interesting for characters that like heal and stuff like that. Like, what if we have some sort of ability that action broke healing, right? That could be interesting. Like, only action breaks healing. Like, what if we have a mechanic that says action breaks healing abilities for the rest of the fight or something, right? That could be interesting. So for this one, of course, with Vegito being a counter unit, let's say you fuse before you're able to get the scouter up from the pre-fused version of this character, and you pop this active skill, you know that the character, unless they are able to double super, I guess, you know that they're not going to be able to super you on the turn where you activate this, right? So this could be a really strong tool to be able to build up the counters that you need to get the full passive here. So that's the thought process, at least behind how I designed the active skill and the active skill effect. So that's the first character, a bit long, but that's the thought process behind how I designed him. Again, the pre-fused version is just completely based around collecting key spheres with the rainbow orb changing and leveraging that to get to Vegito. And then once you get to Vegito, you're just focused on countering forever. Like you build up his mechanics via countering, you build up guaranteed crits, you build up guard, and then you build the active skill, and then you basically break their supers, and then you just counter them into hell. That's how I envision this character working. So that's the thought process behind this Vegito character. So that's the first unit here. Let's move on. Oh yeah, the links. I forgot about this. So when he goes to Vegito, he will lose Saiyan Warrior Race, Warrior Gods, Godly Power for Fused Fighter, Power Bestowed by God, and Over in a Flash, which is a pretty standard link set for Blue Vegito, right? Super Saiyan, Fused Fighter, Power Bestowed by God, Over in a Flash, Prepared for Battle, First Battle, Legendary Power. It's probably going to look something like this, so. Alrighty, next character. We have Goku Black and Zamasu, rulers of the timeline. So I specifically made this base form Goku Black because I think the Tech EZA LR Rose Goku Black and Zamasu character is actually still pretty damn viable. So I didn't want to just create a brand new character with the same name and make those guys irrelevant. But what I'm envisioning is for like the super attack animations, Goku would just like transform, or Goku Black would just like transform into Rose, like immediately in the super attack animations. So it doesn't even really matter that he's base form in the name of the card. For the animations, he will be Rose anyway, right? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And then in terms of the leader skill, we have Worldwide Chaos, Realm of Gods, or Inhuman Deeds, category key +3, 170 to stats. And then the extra 30% would be to Time Travelers or Power of Wishes. And I think this is a pretty expansive 200%. I mean, we have pretty much every Goku Black and Zamasu units on this 200% leader skill. We have every Golden Frieza on here, because Golden Frieza is on Inhuman Deeds, right? So Golden Frieza would be on here. We have Demon King Piccolo would be on here as well. We have Cell, who would be on here as well. Bojack is on here. You know, again, every iteration of Cell, every iteration of Bojack. Some versions of Majin Buu, because time travelers, right? So yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty expansive category. And then just, you know, in terms of the 170% lead by itself, Global Chaos has a lot of villains, like the androids are on there. We have, and in terms of Inhuman Deeds, like every single Frieza, even non-Golden Friezas, like Namek Frieza is on there. So we're definitely going to be getting the more iterations of Namek Frieza down the line, which of course he'll land on there. But overall, I think it's a pretty expansive villain-centric team here. I mean, you have other non-villains on here, like God Goku is on here. Blue Kaioken Goku is on here, and you have other minor ones. I mean, this Gowasu and Zamasu potentially could ease Yato in Celebration, so that's something to look out for as well. I think we could get a new version of this Vegeta, which I actually mentioned earlier in this video, the Vegeta that just beats down Rose. Vegito Blue is going to be on here. We have the 5th anniversary Blue. Oh, actually, no, only Vegito will be on here. The 5th anniversary Blue Fusion Vegito. So I think it's a pretty decent spread of categories here. So let's jump back over to this. All right, so the super attacks. The 12 key is going to be the Fierce God Slicer. Raises attack, so infinite attack stacking, and then causes colossal damage and lowers attack and defense. So for this super attack animation, so I actually, essentially what I did is I rewatched the entire Future Trunks saga, basically up until Goku Black and Zamasu fuse. And there's not a lot of footage of like Goku Black and Zamasu fighting together. Most of the time what happens is Goku Black is fighting someone, and then Zamasu is fighting someone else. They very rarely actually fight together. So what I think would probably happen here in terms of the animation is they would take pieces of when Goku Black is fighting, and they would take pieces of when Zamasu is fighting, and they sort of just like string them together somehow. But I really wanted to get this scene in to this super attack somehow, where's Zamasu. So basically my vision for this is it would start as Goku Black, and I think he would instantly transform into Rose. He'd be comboing somebody, and then it would pan up, and then Zamasu would come out of the sky, and then he would finish with the the Fierce God Slicer attack, which is like the chopping key blast thing. So that's what I'm thinking for the animation here. Then for the 18 key, we have the Binding Black Kamehameha. Raises defense, so infinite defense stack on 18 key, similar to like Vegeta and Trunks. And then causes mega colossal damage. So yeah, similar to Vegeta and Trunks and like last year's Tech Carnival Goku, who infinite stack defense on 18 key. So we technically have this in the game already, but it's on the LR Int Rose. I think it's his 12 key super attack that has like the Zamasu grabbing the enemy and holding him there. We don't have good animations for this, and this is like one of my personal favorite attacks that Zamasu and Goku Black did. And again, it's one of the only instances of them actually like teaming up together to fight instead of them fighting one-on-one with different characters, right? So I think there's a better way that they could do this. Maybe it starts with a combo or something like that, and then it ending with this, I think is good, because we need a better animated version of this kind of Kamehameha, because this was a really cool attack, one of my favorites from the Goku Black saga here. All right, so before we move down to the passive here, I definitely might have a bit of a bias towards the extreme class character. I think I did a good job making Vegito, and I think he would probably be one of the best characters in the game, if not straight up the best single character in the game by far. My philosophy behind the design of this Goku Black and Zamasu character is basically to try and piece together the entire extreme class and fill in the gaps that the extreme class has in the game. It's just plug all the holes, right? It's really like, I don't want to say it's really hard. It is literally impossible to do that with just one character, but I think if there's like a stepping stone to be able to start to fix a lot of the issues that most extreme class characters have, in terms of just them not being designed well enough or having certain flaws, this is the way I would do it, I guess, at least to start. It's been a really rough year for extreme class characters. I think if you look throughout the entire year, we've really only gotten like 1 or 2 like well-designed extreme class units that fare well and like tough content. So I try my best to make this character sort of be the backbone of like all future extreme class teams, at least that fit under this leader skill, right? And my design philosophy behind this character, which you'll see in a second, is they basically are a very, very slow offense character. Like they're not doing a ton of damage, but they're doing more and more and more and more and more overwhelming damage as the fight goes on longer, while also being a very tough to kill, super tanky. I don't even know if I want to call them a support character, but they are a defensive support character that is designed to right the wrongs of a lot of these extreme class characters' designs. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look here at the passive. It's definitely a bit long. Just something to keep in mind, I guess, as well, is this is only one form. Like, this character only has one form. They're not fusing. They don't go into merge zamasu or anything. Like, they don't transform. This is just Goku Black and Zamasu. And the main reason why I did that is because I think part 2 will be, well, at least one of the characters will be merge zamasu. So I wanted to keep this character just, you know, Goku Black and Zamasu themselves. And then for the active skill, which you guys will see, we are getting a new mechanic called Dokkan Field added to the game. As of me recording this video, we don't actually know the details of how the Dokkan Field mechanic will work. So for the active skill, I did put my own spin on how the Dokkan Field mechanic works, but it might be completely off from how it actually ends up functioning in the game. So we'll have to wait and see how that actually works. But this is how I envision this character working for me. So Unholy Combo is the passive. Activates the entrance animation upon entry once only, and extreme class allies gain ki +2 and attack and defense +10% for the rest of battle. So once again, I really don't like there being stringent conditions on activating the entrance animation and the buff associated with the entrance animation. So this is a non-conditional entrance animation buff, but it's only providing a buff for extreme class allies. Now, my inspiration for this was their terrible, terrible, terrible design for Physical Turles' entrance animation. Physical Turles' entrance animation condition is if there's I think it's a Goku family enemy, which doesn't really sound like it would be that bad, but dude, every single difficult fight in the game is against an extreme class enemy, right? Literally every single one, except for like the Gamma 1 and 2 Red Zone stage. Like every other stage is against an extreme class enemy. And then you have the Omega Shenron event, and then you have the Sin Shenron stage, and then you have Cell Max. Like, not just Red Zone, it's like every single tough event is against an extreme class enemy that is not a Goku family category character. So I just wanted to have a version of like Turles' entrance buff that was a bit more, I guess, balanced, because Turles' is only attack, right? I think Turles' is 3 ki and 18% attack, I think is what it was. So I went with a bit more of a balance here. I lowered the ki just because obviously the condition is a lot better. I lowered the ki to 2 and then did 10% attack and defense. Once again, you can run 2 of these characters, of course. You can run 2, both double leader of this character. So you can have this activate twice. You can have 4 ki and 20% attack and defense for the whole team just instantly, which would be a massive help for characters that struggle for ki. And that's one of the biggest issues with villains a lot of the time, is if you run a lot of these villains, like let's say you're running like Cell next to like Merge Zamasu, right? Or you're running like Rose Goku Black next to the future androids. One of the biggest problems with doing that is they're not going to be sharing links a lot of the time. So having an entrance buff like this will really help characters that are not really similar, but they're, both villains and fit under the 200% leader skill. That would help them work together better. All right, so attack and defense, 180% start a turn. Then they get attack and defense plus 20% at the start of each turn, up to a max of attack and defense plus 100%. So again, a slow build-up of attack and defense every turn. Then they get an additional attack and defense plus 40% when performing an ultra super attack. Then they randomly change key spheres of a certain type to rainbow key spheres at the end of the turn. So I didn't want to just make them like a generic rainbow orb changer. I wanted to spice things up a bit and make them a bit different. So they're changing a key sphere. They are a rainbow orb changer, but they're changing the orbs at the end of the turn to set up the next turn. That's what I was going for with that. It's not to set up this turn, it's to set up next turn, and you guys will see why that it matters in a second. So here's another mechanic that I thought of when I was designing this unit. Reduces damage received to 0 when this character or an ally attacking in the same turn receives damage greater than 50% of your total HP pool once only, and then perform an additional super attack for the rest of battle starting from the turn in which this effect activated. So my thought process behind this mechanic is to basically make a better version of the survive a KO hit attack. So right now, we have characters like Tech Yajirobe, and I think, yeah, Carnival Dragon Soul AGL Goku has this mechanic as well, where they will survive an attack that would have otherwise killed them, but it leaves them with 1 HP. Right, it leaves the character with 1 HP. So if you take another hit after that, you're dead. Like, you lose. So this is basically the same thing as that, except instead of you going down to 1 HP, you would take 0 damage. But there's the caveat is that the damage you would have had to have taken would have had to have been over 50% of your total HP pool. So if you're coming into the fight and your HP pool is 700,000 HP, as long as you're taking over 350,000 damage in one hit, you can turn that 350,000 damage to 0, right? So it doesn't even necessarily have to kill you. As long as it's doing more than half of your total HP, you'll nullify the damage once. And that goes for anyone on rotation with this character, and then you can only do it one time. So for example, if you're using LR Final Form Cooler on this guy's team somehow, like, I don't know, you find a way to use him on the same team as this unit, and LR Cooler does like 500 normal attacks, and he has like 0 defense. And then he eats a Cell Max super attack for like 1.2 million damage. You could one time make that 0 damage. So I know it is a very powerful ability. And I specifically didn't try and make this character like super mega OP because I know this is a super mega OP ability. Like everything else about this character, I didn't really want to go overboard with them, because I recognize how ridiculous this is, but I think a mechanic like this could really help a lot of these villain teams and villain characters that are mostly offensive based, and can't really fare well in a lot of difficult content because they're just not defensively good enough. And then we have some nullifications here. So nullifies weapon super attacks directed at this character. I mean, this is just inspiration from when Trunks stabs Zamasu and Zamasu just pulls the sword out. That would be the animation of this, I guess. Because what enemy does weapon supers? I didn't really care too much about that, but I just thought it would be a cool addition. And then a high chance to nullify Ki Blast super attacks. So if you guys remember back to when Trunks was fighting Zamasu, Trunks final flashes Zamasu, and then there's a really cool scene of Zamasu just walking out from the explosion with like lightning around him. I think that would be a really cool Ki Blast nullification animation. So a high chance to nullify, 50% chance to nullify Ki Blast super attacks. Then, this is another new mechanic. This might actually be too good. I think this might be too good. I was thinking of a way to do this, but this is supposed to go hand in hand with changing rainbow orbs at the end of the turn. Gain ki at the start of turn equal to the number of ki spheres collected by extreme class. I guess this should say allies. Extreme class allies in the prior turn. So if you're on turn 5 and you have this character on rotation on turn 5, based on how many ki spheres extreme class allies collected on turn 4, you would gain an equal amount of ki to that. So if you collected 7 total ki spheres with extreme class allies in the prior turn, you would gain an extra 7 ki this turn. So if you notice up until this point, this character as an LR, summonable LR, doesn't have a ki mechanic in their kit at all. So this is their designated ki mechanic, I guess, in addition to the rainbow orb changing. You know what you could honestly do with this character is you could probably just delete the rainbow orb changing from this. I'm going to make a real-time change to this. I'm going to delete this. Just because I think this ki mechanic is probably just too good for them. I don't know if you need the rainbow orb changing. This is probably how I would keep it. Yeah. Gain key at the start of turn equal to the number of key spheres collected by extreme class allies in the prior turn, which is probably just most often going to leave you at like starting the turn with like 20 key, which I guess is fine. I mean, I don't really know because this character's not doing a lot of damage anyway most of the time. So I don't know. This is what I'm going to go with. I think this is good. Just I made an ad hoc adjustment, real-time change during the recording here. I'm pretty happy with this. This is the way I would design this character. And now we're going to get to the active skill. So this is where I tried to fiddle around with how I would personally design the Dokkan field mechanic. So let me just push this down a little bit. So the active skill would be Fury in the Face of Creation. So basically what this would be is this would be Rosé pulling out the scythe and slashing the sky. And it would basically leave the background of the Dokkan field. Like the Dokkan field background would basically be Goku Black's rift from the summon animation. And we'll get to the effect in a second, but able to be used when there are 6 or more extreme class allies on the team and 3 or more turns have passed from the start of battle, or after performing 4 or more super attacks in battle once only. So pretty easy to do. I mean, I'm assuming you're running this character mostly with extreme class allies because you're getting the entrance animation buff for them. So it shouldn't be that hard to do. I didn't want to make this tough to do because the goal of this is for this to last for a long time. All right, so the effect activates Dokkan Field Sickle of Sorrow, which is basically what they call Rosé's Scythe. So this basically, when you activate this would last for the entire fight. So extreme class allies key +1 and attack and defense plus 10%, which of course would stack with the entrance buff. And then I guess something else I could mention about this is that you would not be able to use this twice. Like you use this with so for example, if you're running a double lead of this character, right? Your character plus a friend unit of the same unit, you wouldn't be able to use this twice. Like you could only use this one time. Because I guess you could technically use it again, but it would override the first effect. For the rest of battle, wait. So extreme class allies key +1 attack and defense 10% for the rest of battle, causes supreme damage to enemy at the end of each subsequent turn. So the way I'm envisioning this will happen, and how this would work, I guess, is so you activate this. The animation is Rosé taking his scythe out of his hand and then like slashing the sky and creating the rift. And then at the end of every single turn, there would be clones that spawn from the rift and attack the enemy and do damage every single turn. So, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like how a lot of other games have like dots, which is basically short for damage over time. This is basically like in Legends how you have like bleeds and poison and stuff like that damage you over time. This is basically my equivalent for like a Dokkan version of that mechanic, where this character is not, again, they're not really doing a lot of damage by themselves. They're more so a defensive character that's supporting and being like a shield for your team. But they're doing a lot of damage over time when it comes to the Dokkan field mechanic. Every single turn, they're just spawning clones that attack at the end of the turn. Again, I don't know if this is the right multiplier, if they should be, getting some kind of damage increase from this. I imagine the way it would work is I gave this infinite attack stacking because I did want this to affect the damage of the Dokkan field every turn. So again, they're stacking attack every turn. They're doing more and more and more damage with this every single turn because they're stacking attack with this. That's the way I envision this. Just a slow rolling character that is really, 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 really hard to kill, supporting extreme class, and has a really good leader skill, and would be able to fit well on any team with their really good key mechanic as an extreme character. So that's my design philosophy behind this Goku Black and Rosé character. We looked at Vegito Blue in this video. We looked at Goku Black and Zamasu. That is my part 1 design concept for these characters. I guess in terms of who would be the Dokkan Fest and who would be the Carnival, if we're going to copy the same format from last year, I guess I would say the Dokkan Fest would be Goku Black and Zamasu, and then we could have Vegito Blue being the Carnival. And I think the reason why I would put it like that is to make future Carnivals more enticing for people to summon on. Imagine if Vegito Blue was a Carnival LR, and like for the anniversary, there's like a part 2 Carnival LR Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. But then they put Carnival Vegito Blue on the banner with him. Like, people would probably summon for that Gotenks, right? That's why I think I'd probably do it like that, but I mean, it could go either way. So let me know what you guys think about this concept. I really did put a lot of time into thinking about how I wanted to design these characters. Again, in terms of like balance, I don't really know if they're balanced correctly, if the numbers are where they should be. It would take testing to figure that out, but in terms of just the mechanics, I want it to be very unique with the different mechanics that these characters have, and I wanted to make them different than a lot of characters that we already have in the games. So let me know what you guys think. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully we end up getting an Extreme Class character like this, because God help Extreme Class right now in Dokkan, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Oh yeah, links. Here you go. I literally just copied LR Tech Goku Black and Zamasu's links. That.